The Kremlin said on Monday Vladimir Putin remained open to contacts with US President Donald Trump, after Trump said on Sunday he was pissed off with the Russian president. Trump threatened to impose secondary tariffs of 25 to 50% on buyers of Russian oil if he felt Moscow was blocking his efforts to end the war in Ukraine. He told NBC News he was angry after Putin last week criticised the credibility of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's leadership. Trump has adopted a more conciliatory stance towards Russia that has worried Western allies, as he tries to end what he calls a ridiculous war which began when Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022. He himself has called for new elections in Ukraine and denounced Zelensky as a dictator. Trump criticised him again on Sunday over a critical minerals deal that US officials have been pushing Kyiv to accept. A summary of the draft suggests the US is demanding all Ukraine's natural resources income for years. Zelensky has said Kyiv's lawyers need to review it.
And I think Zelensky, by the way, I see he's trying to back out of the rare earth deal. And if he does that, he's got some problems, big problems. We made a deal on rare earth. And now he's saying, well, I want to renegotiate the deal. He wants to be a member of NATO. Well, he was never going to be a member of NATO. He understands that.
Asked about Trump's anger with Putin, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Moscow continued to work with Washington, and a call between Trump and Putin could be set up at short notice if necessary. Trump had later repeated that he was disappointed with Putin, but added, "I think we are making progress step by step." He said he could impose new trade measures on Russia within a month. Russia has called numerous Western sanctions and restrictions illegal and designed for the West to seize economic advantage in its rivalry with Russia.
An Israeli airstrike killed several people, including a Hezbollah official in Beirut on Tuesday, a Lebanese security source said, further testing a shaky ceasefire between Israel and the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group. The Israeli military said it had eliminated Hassan Badir, a member of a Hezbollah unit and Iran's Quds force. It said he had assisted the Palestinian militant group Hamas in planning a, quote, significant and imminent terror attack against Israeli civilians. The Lebanese source said the Hezbollah officials' responsibilities included the Palestinian file. The strike was Israel's second in the Hezbollah-controlled southern suburbs of Beirut in 5 days. The damage left behind illustrating the strains on last year's US-brokered ceasefire, which halted a conflict that had killed thousands and uprooted more than 1 million people in Lebanon. Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam said it was a flagrant breach of the ceasefire deal and the UN Security Council resolution it's based on. The US State Department said on Tuesday that Israel was defending itself from rocket attacks that came from Lebanon. It added that Washington blamed terrorists for resuming hostilities and supported Israel's response. Hezbollah has denied any role in recent rocket attacks from Lebanon towards Israel, including one that prompted Israel to carry out an airstrike on the southern suburbs last Friday.
The number killed in Myanmar's catastrophic earthquake has passed 1,000, its military government said on Saturday. That's a sharp increase from initial reports of 144 dead, and experts are warning Myanmar's final death toll could be much, much higher. The US Geological Survey's predictive modelling has estimated it could be over 10,000. It also warned that losses could exceed the impoverished Southeast Asian country's annual economic output. Friday's quake collapsed buildings and crippled critical infrastructure in a country already torn apart by a grinding civil war. Plan International's Sumonte said the situation in the central city of Mandalay, near the epicenter, was desperate.
The building damage was so severe, and people are just, they so shocked. People are just, desperate, devastated. And when I see the damage at the bridges and the roads, it was so huge. I have never seen anything like that in my life before.
The quake also killed several people in neighbouring Thailand and brought down an under-construction skyscraper in Bangkok. Foreign rescue workers began flying into Myanmar on Saturday to assist in the search for survivors. That was after a rare call for help on Friday from junta leader General Min Aung Hlaing, who seized power in a 2021 military coup that ousted a civilian government. A Chinese rescue team has arrived in Myanmar's commercial capital Yangon, south of the hardest-hit cities, Mandalay, and the country's purpose-built capital, Naypyidaw. Russia, India, Malaysia and Singapore were sending relief supplies and personnel, and South Korea said it would provide an initial $2 million in humanitarian aid. The United States, which has a testy relationship with Myanmar and has sanctioned its officials, has said it would provide some assistance.
China launched large-scale military exercises around Taiwan on Tuesday and called the island's president, Lai Ching-te, a parasite courting ultimate destruction. In a video accompanying China's Eastern Theater Command's announcement of the drills, Lai was depicted as a cartoon bug held by a pair of chopsticks above a burning Taiwan. Tuesday's drills came after Lai called Beijing a foreign hostile force last month. In other propaganda clips released at the same time as the drills, Chinese warships and fighter jets were seen encircling the island, with Taiwanese cities locked in aiming sites. Two senior Taiwan officials told Reuters that more than 10 Chinese military ships came close to Taiwan's 24 nautical mile contiguous zone. Taiwan sent its own warships to respond and scrambled its own fighter jets Tuesday. China views Taiwan as its own territory and has never renounced using force to bring the democratically governed island under its fold. Taiwan's government rejects Beijing's sovereignty claims and says only the island's people can decide their future. Taiwan's presidential office condemned China's drills Tuesday in a statement delivered by spokesperson Karen Kuo.
China, as one of the members in this region, has recently continued to conduct military provocations in the international waters of various regions around the Taiwan Strait and the Indo-Pacific region. It openly challenges the international order, and the international community views it as a troublemaker. The presidential office sternly condemns its actions.
It comes on the heels of US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth visiting nearby Japan and the Philippines. On his visit, he criticized China and said Japan was indispensable for tackling Chinese aggression. A senior Taiwan Coast Guard official, Xie Qingqin, told reporters Tuesday China could hold war games in May and October. Xie said those may coincide with sensitive dates, such as an anniversary in May marking a year since President Lai Ching-te took office, or Taiwan's National Day in October.
I've been a member here for 50 years, a Bondi boy. The perfect storm, I guess, a 10-metre swell, 2-metre high tide, the southerly swell just pounding into the water here, turning 15 panels of toughened glass into splinters, completely ripping the cupboards off the wall in the lifeguards tower. It's just devastating.
This lemon was fatal for a German spy, Karl Müller, who came to Britain in 1915. It helped to convict him because Karl Muller was using lemon juice to write secret messages in between the lines of an otherwise innocuous letter that was intercepted, and he was tracked down, tried, found guilty and executed by a firing squad at the Tower of London. This Yardley talcum powder tin from the Portland spy case had 2 concealed compartments. In one was a microdot reader. Microdots were photographic images shrunk to the size of a full stop, and in the other compartment were 3 pieces of film. It's an everyday object, but it's being used to conceal espionage equipment.
I don't know what I would eat because I rely on that to expect to eat for the month.
Chantis McDonald relies on government food benefits to make ends meet. These could be cut under a budget plan taking shape in Congress.
That would hurt my pocket. I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, there's other programs that offer you food boxes and stuff, but it's not the food that you want to eat. You can use your food stamp card and go anywhere that accepts EBT, and they'll take it.
The Central California resident is one of nearly 42 million Americans who received assistance paid through the federal government's Supplementary Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, last year. That and Medicaid, the federal health plan which provides coverage to 72 million low-income and disabled people, could be slashed as part of a Republican plan to significantly reduce spending. Those proposed cuts will likely fall heavily on this part of the Central Valley, a vast expanse of orchards, vineyards, and cattle ranches that produces a significant portion of the United States' fruits, vegetables, and nuts. It also has some of the highest poverty rates in the country. Savannah Oates works for a community organization that administers assistance programs for poorer residents of Kern County.
We're seeing people we've never seen before, and they're just saying, hey, I need to make ends meet until the next paycheck because things are more pricier.
Medicaid cuts could also affect health care delivered through the school system, including childhood immunization programs.
The US is days away from imposing a countrywide ban on TikTok. That's if a deal can't be reached with the app's Chinese parent ByteDance to find a US-based owner. So, what's next for this app used by millions of Americans? TikTok briefly went dark in January before the law requiring ByteDance to divest or be banned came into effect. The bill was passed due to concerns over national security. US Republican Mike Gallagher said ByteDance, quote, does the bidding of the Chinese Communist Party.
This bill therefore forces TikTok to break up with the Chinese Communist Party.
However, President Donald Trump delayed this law's enforcement by 75 days. And millions of users were able to download and update the app again. Trump's considered extending the delay again, but he said he believes a buyer will be found before the deadline.
We have a lot of interest in TikTok, and China is going to play a role, and so hopefully China will approve of the deal, but they're going to play a role.
TikTok, in response to security concerns, has denied that it has or ever would share US data, and the app has stayed online for Americans since its brief blackout. Despite the initial ban, US lawmakers on both sides have said that ByteDance should have more time to divest the app. But social media expert Drew Benvey said there still may be issues if a deal is reached.
There are concerns about not just the data privacy, but about what people see using TikTok. And according to reports, TikTok will still own the algorithm, and that's mixing up what people see. So the content and the influence of content on US users and global users potentially will still be owned by TikTok, and that raises different concerns.
TikTok is only of espionage value when used on the devices of people connected to national security functions. That's according to a 2023 report by Georgia Tech's Internet Governance Project. But other digital experts have pushed back on the report's conclusion. A 2022 report from Forbes magazine found that ByteDance had used the TikTok app to track multiple journalists to discover the source of leaks. TikTok has said, quote, these bans are misguided and do nothing to further privacy or security. The US, Britain and several European Union bodies have already imposed bans solely on government devices. But other countries, including India, Nepal, Iran, Afghanistan and Somalia, have outright banned it, as well as Taiwan. Experts say other countries with close security relations to the US could now follow its lead.